restoration on commercial and residential sites.
Cold and dry today with a good supply of sunshine, the high only at 39. For tonight, clear with the low at 25. For tomorrow and Monday, the sky sunny both days with a warming trend. The high tomorrow 57, the high Monday 61. Tuesday, partially sunny with a high at 63. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on 95.1 The Mountain, Anniston, Oxford's classic station.
Get New Year's savings with us now at Team 1 Hyundai of Gadsden. Lease a new 2022 Hyundai Palisade Limited for $379 a month for 36 months. A new 2022 Hyundai Kona SEL for $259 a month for 36 months. Or get 1.9% APR for 60 months on a new 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe. Get America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty and owner's assurance. Visit Team1HyundaiofGadsden.com.
2022 Hyundai Palisade, $3,799 to sign it. 2022 Hyundai Kona, $699 to sign it. Plus finance through Hyundai Motor Finance. All qualified. Down payment period.
Wow, amazing! Hello 2022. Kemp Flooring America has extended the greatest clearance sale of the year, including luxury vinyl, hardwood and tile, all up to 50% off. All rolls of carpet and vinyl in our warehouse, 99 cents a square foot. Our friendly flooring consultants care about you, your home, and making sure you have a great shopping experience. Come visit us today at Kemp Flooring America, where friends send friends. 825 Snow Street in Oxford. Hurry, offer ends January 31st. Kemp Flooring America. Call 256-831-5520 or visit us at kempfa.com.
Wash and Coin Laundry announces another Washin' for a Cause. All 5 Wash and Coin laundries in Anniston and Oxford will donate proceeds in support of Community Enabler. So that means when you wash and dry your clothes from designated machines, you'll be contributing to our community in several ways. Community Enabler has been serving Calhoun and surrounding counties for over 4 decades, providing food and needed items to citizens in need. Look for the designated machines when you take care of your laundry, and you'll be washing for a cause too. At all 5 locations of Wash and Coin Laundry, Anniston and Oxford.
Are you tired of the big chain tax preparers? Try TNT Services in Anniston. Due to COVID, we will be limiting in-office clients. We can file your simple return so you can get your stimulus payment. TNT Services specializes in preparing returns for commercial truck drivers, farm owners, rental property owners. There's even a notary right here on site. Discounts available for first responders, educators, and military. Call 256-403-6255 to make your appointment today. 256-403-6255.
The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here's your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Well, hi there. How's everything going? We're still learning our new digs.
Trying to.
Yeah, we're trying to. Little hiccups here and there. We got it. It's all good. Welcome into it. Last show of January. We're already at the end of January 2022?
Yes, we are.
Wow. Well, welcome to it. And welcome to racing officially. That's right. Racing has actually gotten underway.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that. We got plenty of news. We got some rumors that we're going to get to. And we promised that we're going to do what we did a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do an after the show. So those of you that are, for example, fans of ours and follow us or subscribe to us, I should say, on our YouTube channel, just go to YouTube, type in Championship Racing Network. You can hit subscribe. You get a notification of any time that we post anything to that particular channel. We're going to do a specific after the show where we're going to talk a little bit of, let's just call it a rumor regarding Formula One in the United States. So we'll get into all that and more, but plenty to get to during this particular show. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Steve West. That is Matt Nicholson.
Hello.
How you doing after last week?
I'm getting there.
And then there's our producer, John, who also was out last week, did a fine job of putting us up on YouTube from the house. We thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
You feeling better?
No, I'm suffering from COVID brain cramps.
Brain cramps. I got you.
You're not the only one.
That's just it. I'm not so certain that it's a COVID thing. I suffer from those all the time. I haven't been diagnosed with COVID. So. Hey, welcome to the show. Let's get into the racing side of it. And this is something new for our new listeners here on our new home for 2022, and hopefully for a long time to come. Usually, I mean, if you've listened over the last couple of weeks, you know that we just basically got right into the news. And it'll vary which series that we cover, depending on what we kind of think the biggest story might be. But when it comes to racing, we actually had a sanctioned race of one of the series that we covered last night. We will kick it off by talking about the racing and the racing schedule for that particular weekend. So that's where we're going to kick off. 2022 season got underway in Formula E. Their 7th season got underway in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia. 21 turns, 1.55-mile-long street course laid out just outside of the downtown area. For those of you that get the CBS network, Sports Network, you might have caught this last evening. Quick recap. Shows the Mercedes dominance of Formula One might be extending to Formula E.
Mm-hmm.
The pairing of Nick DeVries and Stoffel Van Dorn claimed a 1-2 finish in the 2022 season opener. Jake Dennis claimed third in his Avalanche Andretti. It's nice to see Andretti finally making some waves, it appears, in Formula E. Stoffel Van Dorn happened to be leading, but late in the race, he missed out on his second attempt to go through a temporary power boost area, which is known as the attack mode loop. When his teammate DeVries hit it right, that power boost got him around his teammate. He went on to claim the win, left Van Dorn upset at his own mistake, and he did, I will give him credit for this, state, my fault, all on me, nobody else's fault. He didn't try to blame anybody else.
Yep, one of the drivers got his head screwed on. It takes a lot for him to do that.
Absolutely. Sam Bird was 4th, Lucas DeGrassi 5th, Eduardo Matara 6th. Then there's Nick Cassidy, Jean-Eric Verne, Oliver Askew, and Mitch Evans round out your top 10. Next weekend, because we got a second race later today, details on that in a moment, we'll recap it next week, and then we'll give you the points rundown after 2 races because, well, you kind of know what the points rundown is after one.
Mm-hmm.
Later today, 2 things get underway. The first one up on the schedule is the famed 24 Hours of Daytona. The Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. Kicks off on the Daytona road course. The USA Network will actually show the start of the race 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central Time. And then an hour later, it moves over to NBC's streaming service, Peacock. If you don't have it, you're out of luck. Using Central Time from here on out, it goes back to USA from 4 to 7 p.m., 7 to 10 p.m., back to Peacock, back to USA from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., then back to Peacock until 6 a.m. So basically, it's bouncing back and forth between USA and the Peacock streaming service. But for the final hours of it, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to noon, again, this is Central Time, 6 a.m. to noon, those 6 hours you'll see on the USA Network. And then at noon Central Time, NBC will pick it up, show the conclusion of the race, the post-race celebration, and all of the aftermath until about 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. So for all of that, NBC will get approximately 2 hours of coverage. Everything else is either on USA or their streaming service.
Which I don't think is right. They need to have the start of it on NBC.
I agree.
The middle stage is through USA and Peacock Network, which is, I'm not surprised with the Peacock Network being overnight.
No, not terribly. But yeah, I agree with you. I would have put the first hour probably on NBC and then maybe a couple hours on USA before going to the Peacock streaming service, if that's what you insist. But here's the thing. Again, we talked about this a little bit last year when some of the schedules came out. For example, for the IndyCar network, we've talked about that even within the past couple of weeks here on this show.
Mm-hmm.
17 IndyCar races. There's going to be a couple that are going to be shown on USA. The vast majority of them will be shown on the NBC network, but one, Streets of Toronto Grand Prix on IndyCar, that will be Peacock only. When NASCAR comes later on this year, and NBC hasn't broken down exactly how their telecasts are going to work when it comes to NASCAR and their half of the Cup and Xfinity Series season, but I would expect at least one Cup Series race to be solely on the Peacock streaming service. At least one. And probably multiple races from the Xfinity Series will be there.
Xfinity, yes, but I don't think they would be dumb enough to put it on Cup yet.
I'm almost willing to lay down money that one, I don't know which one, but one Cup Series race will end up on Peacock only.
Well, if they do, they better use their brain enough and not even put it on the playoff races.
If they put it in a playoff race and I'm NASCAR, I would be throwing a holy fit. Forget the fans.
There would be anarchy.
Absolutely. As it is, we got people that are upset. We'll get back to that when it comes to Martinsville.
Yeah.
Right. In the middle of all that, by the way, tonight, back to Diriyah, Saudi Arabia, where Formula E will get a doubleheader weekend and the second race of their season rolling. Again, CBS Sports Network. It'll start at midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central Time here in the United States. If you don't watch it, I understand. There'll be replays. Let's get back to the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. There are drivers from NASCAR and Indycar that regularly take part in it. But this year, while we do have a good number of IndyCar drivers on hand, there's actually only one NASCAR driver that is running that I can find. And it is 2022 Cup rookie Austin Cindric. He's running a Mercedes in the GTD division. That's down from 3 NASCAR drivers in last year's race. The Gen 7 racer does seem to be most of that situation. Got simulator testing taking up a whole lot of the month of December when they would have been testing for the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. So it brings us to the IndyCar drivers. They number a dozen this year. We're not going to mention them all, but I'll mention several of them here. They do include former Cup champion and current IndyCar driver Jimmy Johnson. Simon Pagenaud's there. Helio Castroneves is there. Colton Hurd is there. Sebastian Bourdais, Kyle Kirkwood, Pato O'Ward, Devlin DeFrancesco, Alex Palou, Scott Dixon's there. Marcus Ericsson's there. Renus VK are all slated to drive. Most of these drivers, and I do state this very carefully, most of them are going to be running either the fastest division, Daytona Prototype or DPI, or in arguably the second fastest division, LMP2.
I've got right here the official entry list.
I don't think I missed many.
You say you hit Sebastian Bourdais, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, Marcus Ericsson, Kevin Magnussen.
No, missed Kevin.
Kevin's driving a Chip Ganassi car.
In what division?
DPI.
Okay.
Alexander Rossi.
Missed him.
He's in the 10 car with Wayne Taylor.
And that'll be DPI.
Yeah, on the DPI division, there's only one car that has 3 drivers. Everybody else has 4.
Oh, yeah.
The 31 car, which is the pole-sitting car, kind of ironically.
As it turns out.
You did get Johnson. We actually have a former Formula E driver in the field.
Oh, do we?
Tom Blomqvist.
Oh, okay.
He's paired off with Castroneves and Pagenaud in the 60 car.
Okay.
Let's see here. LMP2 is really nobody.
Yeah.
Let's see. Pato O'Ward's in a Dragon Speed car.
Okay. Dragon Speed, I think, has abandoned their thoughts of getting into IndyCar.
Let's see.
Or if they haven't, they've certainly delayed them to at least 2023.
You got Gabby Chavez is in the LMP3 Andretti car.
I haven't heard Gabby's name in a while.
Yeah. Let's see here. Nobody there. Nobody there. Daytona Pro. Let's see who's in Daytona Pro. You got Jordan Taylor in the Corvette. Jack Hawksworth.
Former IndyCar driver.
Kyle Kirkwood. You got him.
So they're all over the place, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have plenty of names that if you're familiar with racing of several levels, you've got plenty of guys that you can kind of look at and go, oh, that's how they're doing. And we'll give you a rundown of it next weekend, obviously, here on the show as well. But let's get into the news side of things here, and we start off in the Cup Series. Cup Series has informed us, specifically Fox has informed us of their 3-man announcing booth for their part of the 2022 season. 2 of them we know. One of them is on a rotating basis. Why, you ask? Well, Mike Joy, he returns to the role that he's held with Fox since they started airing NASCAR back in the 2001 season. He is once again joined by former Cup Series driver Clint Bowyer. But for this year, there is no Jeff Gordon. See, the 4-time Cup Series title winner has stepped away from broadcasting to move back into a role at Hendrick Motorsports. He is Rick Hendrick's right-hand man with the title of vice chairman. This is Rick Hendrick's preparations, basically, for stepping away from it whenever that happens. I don't think it's going to happen soon, by the way, but when it happens, he's got his succession plan in place, and it will be Jeff Gordon leading it.
Yeah, he's getting ready to hand Jeff the keys.
Exactly. So with Jeff Gordon out, we did say that there was going to be a 3-man booth, right? You're right. It won't be just one person. Fox has said they're going to have several people in the booth alongside Joy and Boyer throughout the course of their first half of the season. And starting at the Busch Light Clash in Los Angeles and at the Daytona 500, that third person will be Clint Boyer's old boss, Tony Stewart. That ought to be entertaining in and of itself. We don't know who's going to be in the broadcast booth in the following races. Fox Sports has not unveiled that. We'll end up probably keeping up with that on a week-to-week basis. They did say, though, that for the Daytona 500 and for their part of the season, Larry McReynolds will be back as their technical analyst. Jamie Little going to be on hand along with Vince Welch and Regan Smith. They'll be covering pit road throughout the race. All right, then. Boyer and Stewart. Mike Joy's going to end up playing referee. These two are going to go and they're going to play off each other quite well. We've seen it already.
I'm really not so much as interested in seeing the 500. I'm interested in seeing the football stadium race. That's what I'm calling it, which is what it is.
It is. I know. And you and I have our opinions of this. I'll just put it that way. I'm interested to see it. I mean, this is the first time in my lifetime that they've been on a track shorter than a half mile that I know of. If they've been on a track shorter than that in my lifetime, I certainly didn't remember it. Let's just put it this way. In my memorable lifetime, in other words, the time in my life that I know that I've been a NASCAR fan, I can't remember them on a track less than a half a mile. So they're on a quarter-mile track out here in Los Angeles. That's going to be some beating and banging.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, here you go. You're going to have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But again, and I even don't really have the problem with them having put this thing in a stadium just to kind of do something totally different. I just kind of wonder why they decided that they were going to do some practice in Daytona, then do some practice in Phoenix, then do a race in Los Angeles, only to have to go all the way back to Daytona to run the Daytona 500 and then haul back all the way to Los Angeles in order to get the rest of the season started with the West Coast swing.
Great question. It still looms large.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole map thing, and I just haven't figured out how it's going to do. When we come back, the week of the Daytona 500, Fox Sports has also unveiled their coverage schedule. We'll get into that when we come back. We'll also talk about 18 cars that we just mentioned, the test, next-gen testing at Phoenix Raceway. We'll give you a couple of numbers when it comes to that. And Cowlick Racing, first year for them in the Cup Series. And they've told us that they're going to run one car full-time for Justin Haley. The other car will have 3 drivers. We now know which races they're going to run. We'll detail all of that and so much more as we're just underway right here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Racing Network.
Hey, we are back here, and we want to thank our fine sponsors here, among them, helping bring you this edition of the Championship Racing Network, Ox Foundation Solutions, and our good friend Michael Hart. We know Michael, all three of us do. We've all worked with him, and he's helped us out, whether it's coming out and looking at our homes or just giving us advice. He has helped us out in that manner as well. And we recommend him to you, and we recommend Ox Foundation Solutions to you. If you feel like you have any problem with your house's foundation, or if you know you have a problem with your house's foundation, you need to call him. If you're anywhere in the state of Alabama, and it doesn't matter whether you're all the way up by the Tennessee state line, all the way down by the Gulf Coast, over by the Mississippi line, or close to the Georgia line, anywhere in the state of Alabama, Michael Hart will come to your house, give you a no-cost, no-obligation written foundation assessment. Let me repeat that. No cost, no obligation. Can't beat that.
That means there's no money out of your pocket.
Exactly. And with that written foundation assessment, you will know what, if anything, is wrong with the house. If there's nothing wrong with the house, he's going to write it up and he's going to hand it to you. He's going to shake your hand, or he's going to wave if you prefer separation. And he's going to go off and he's going to go about his business, and you get to as well with peace of mind. If there is something wrong, you now have it on paper in detail. And you know about how much it's going to cost, because he's going to give you that estimate. I say it's an estimate because that's not the finality of it. Because if you throw out the fact that you heard it right here on this show, the Championship Racing Network, and you mention the promo code WEST, W-E-S-T, you get 15% off of what he just quoted you. What do you got to lose? Find out if there's anything wrong. If there's not, great. If there is, now you know how much it's going to cost, and you can be ready to do it, and you'll get 15% off with the promo code WEST. Set up your appointment at 205-362-6419 or by email, mike@oxfoundations.com. Don't forget that promo code WEST. The phone number again, 205-362-6419 or by email, mike@oxfoundations.com. Make sure you tell him you heard about it right here on CRN. We were talking about Fox Sports, three-man booth. First two races, Busch Light Clash, Daytona 500. It is Mike Joy. Happy to have him back. Clint Boyer, who really, I think, did quite well last year.
Yeah, he did.
He seemed very comfortable behind a microphone.
Yep.
And with Jeff Gordon out as vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports this year, it'll be Tony Stewart. Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart together again. Oh, boy.
Oof.
Should be entertaining in and of itself. Well, the week of the Daytona 500, Fox Sports has unveiled their coverage schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, up to and including the duels for the Cup Series. All of that's going to be on Fox Sports 1. Friday's action has practice for all three series on Fox Sports 1 and the Camping World Truck Series season opener Friday night. That'll be on Fox Sports 1 as well, as will all the races for the Camping World Truck Series that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
They have been known to put one, sometimes two, usually Talladega, Camping World Truck Series races on the main network of Fox, but they haven't said whether they're going to do that yet this year.
Right.
We'll find out.
Right.
Saturday, ARCA Menard Series and Xfinity Series both get their seasons underway. Both of the season openers for them aired live on Fox Sports 1. Then for Sunday, NASCAR Race Day kicks everything off with the coverage at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 10 a.m. Central. Then moves over to Fox from Fox Sports 1, 1 p.m. Eastern Time before giving way to the Daytona 500 on Fox. Starts 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. So there you go. Now you're ready for 3 weeks from now?
Yep, 3 weeks.
Because this weekend, I always do this kind of by Super Bowl. So this weekend is the AFC and NFC championship games. Next weekend is the Super Bowl. Then you've got the Daytona 500.
Correct.
So really, 2 weekends from now.
Correct.
Hey, what do you know? We're that close, ladies and gentlemen. We're that close.
Not far away.
And then NASCAR decided that they were going to announce an update to the 2022 penalty tier system. Now, they've been using L1, L2, and L3 for the past couple of seasons, right? L1 being the most lenient or the lesser of all the penalties, whereas L3, which they have rarely handed out an L3 penalty. They have, but it doesn't happen often. I mean, you got to talk about one egregious mistake upon somebody's part to get an L3 penalty.
Yeah.
But they're a little more serious this year. L3 penalty, again, reserved for the worst of the worst. Things like tampering and or counterfeiting of the next-gen car's single-sourced parts. We're talking about things like covering the engine, tires, and fuel. You mess with any of those, you could get an L3 penalty that could include race suspensions, multiple races, not a single, pretty hefty fines, crew member suspensions, and for the first time, loss of playoff points, and depending on how serious, potentially a ban from the postseason.
I don't think we're going to see one of those.
I doubt it, but that's got teeth. That right there speaks to those teams who especially believe that they've got the horse or the horses to be able to put one or maybe multiple cars into the playoffs.
Right.
To then get, and I'm not going to say that Hendrick Motorsports will cheat. I'm just going to use last year's champion as an example. The man won 10 races. We're talking Kyle Larson. Can you imagine winning, and I forget how many he won during the regular season, but let's say he won, I think he won 6 or 7 in the regular season. I think it was 7. He wins 7 races throughout the course of the regular season, and then something happens that they pull an L3 penalty, and those 7 wins don't matter.
Yeah, they're negated.
And Kyle Larson is not eligible for the playoffs. Think about that.
Yeah. That would, don't know how well that was set.
Probably not. L2 bans are the next worst, obviously, covering mods to the next-gen car that are not deemed on an L3 level. Things like violations of the engine seal rule, unapproved violations of the engine, or use of unapproved onboard electronics are included in this. Points for regular season and postseason can be deducted, along with fines and potentially suspensions. Chances are you're probably not going to get a postseason ban. You might get some postseason points docked. We'll find out. L1 covers pretty much all the other violations with the same potential penalties as L2, but just not as hefty. So there you are. Then there are 18 cars that were on hand for 2 days of next-gen testing at Phoenix Raceway. After 2 days, about 3 miles per hour separated the fastest, Ryan Blaney, from the slowest. And you'd be excused if you've never heard of Loris Heseman of Team Heseberg. They're trying basically for a Daytona 500 berth. Blaney ran a quick lap of 131.909 miles per hour. Heseman's best, 128.903. Blaney and his teammate at Team Penske, Joey Logano, were the fastest. 2, then Chase Briscoe from Stewart-Haas Racing. He was 3rd quickest. Then finally you get the first Chevrolet. That was Chase Elliott. The top 5 rounded out by yet another Ford Stewart-Haas Racing driver, Kevin Harvick. 131.909. Seems we're a little off the pace from last year.
Yeah, but it's not by much.
Not too bad. We've been noticing it a little bit more at Daytona.
A lot more. A lot more.
Now, that being said, the car being, 2 to 3 miles per hour slower on a Phoenix may not necessarily be the worst thing in the world. It might tighten up the racing a little bit.
For a track like, I'm going to say, Phoenix, let's even go New Hampshire. You really can't say Worldwide Tech at Gateway because you really have no comparison to it to use.
Yeah, the Cup Series, I don't think the Cup Series has ever raced there.
No.
So they have nothing to work on from the history.
It wouldn't be fair to say Richmond because Richmond
it's generally pretty tight.
Richmond's generally overall pretty tight.
Yeah, Bristol, Martinsville, kind of the same thing.
Okay, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, to me, we're looking at the mile tracks, Darlington, Dover, New Hampshire, and longer, where I think that the mile per hour difference is going to show up on the speed charts.
It'll show up quicker.
But the question becomes, again, does it make the racing worse? I don't think it makes the racing necessarily worse. It might actually tighten the pack up a little bit more.
Well, with the package that they're using, with the short spoiler,
you seem happy about that.
It's going to make the cars harder to drive, and you're going to have to get elbows up.
Yeah, a little more driver involvement here, and that's what they've been asking for. The drivers want to be more involved. You know, they don't want it to be just who's got the best equipment. We want to know who the best driver is.
I mean, because with with 550 horsepower and a parachute spoiler on the back of the car.
You're talking about poking a big hole in it.
I mean, anybody could drive it.
Sure.
It's easy to drive. It just point, turn, plant.
Right. And that back end is planted.
Yeah. Point it on the straightaway, turn it in the corner, plant it off the corner.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to be overdriving a corner. I'm not talking about overdriving the car necessarily. You got to be overdriving a corner to get that car loose with that humongous spoiler on the
Because the one thing that you didn't see very much of was single car accidents last year.
No, not a whole
or
lot.
Or actually the past 3 or 4 years.
You might actually see a few more. We saw more than one driver spin out.
For sure.
In practice in Phoenix.
For sure.
Expect to see more of it, especially at a place like Los Angeles, where you're trying to put 550 horsepower down on a quarter-mile track.
Yep.
Have fun with that. Bubba Wallace was also on hand. He finished about mid-pack in the speed charts, which you said was actually a good sign. And you think, mid-pack on the speed charts, a good sign? You might have missed the fact that he had shoulder surgery on his right shoulder the very day after the 2021 season ended. He admitted he was a bit nervous about getting back in the car because he didn't know how his shoulder was going to react. But he said actually there was no pain, and he was actually very comfortable throughout the practice session. And he gave a whole lot of thanks to his physical therapist for putting him through a very tough regimen to help get him ready for this 2022 season. Then that brings us to Cowlick Racing, their first year in the Cup Series. 2 full-time cars. We've talked about this. They're going to put the number 31 and the number 16 out there. We've already told you the number 31 is going to have driver Justin Haley all year long, as he also competes for the Cup Series Sunoco Rookie of the Year honor. Kind of get the funny feeling he's got it, but we'll see. The other car is going to be the number 16. Used to be an old Roush Fenway Racing, or I guess now we could call it RFK Racing number, but Cowlick Racing got the rights to it. This car will feature 3 different drivers, 2 from Cowlick's Xfinity operation. Those are AJ Allmendinger and Daniel Hemrick. And they're also borrowing Noah Gragson on loan from Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. He'll fill out the rest of the season. We now know how the schedule breaks down for these 3. Allmendinger gets the number 16 in the Clash. Then he's back in it at Phoenix for Circuit of the Americas, Richmond, Martinsville, Spring Race, Dover, the All-Star Race. He'll be the one driving at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway when Cup Series finally visits there. Sonoma, Nashville, Road America, New Hampshire, the Indy Road Course, Watkins Glen, Bristol, and his Cup Series efforts will wrap up at the Charlotte Roval. So as we kind of predicted, AJ Allmendinger gets a pretty hefty amount of the road courses. He doesn't get them all, but he gets a pretty hefty amount of the Cup Series road course races.
Yeah.
Daniel Hemrick actually has the fewest Cup Series races of the 3, but he will get his chance at the Daytona 500 in the duels and the 500 itself. Then he's also in the car at Auto Club Speedway, at Vegas, Talladega, Darlington, Daytona again, Darlington again, and Talladega again.
The 500 is a fair trade, in my opinion. I take the 500. I take shorter starts, but get the super speedways. I take that all day long.
I got you. This leaves Noah Gragson again on loan from Junior Motorsports for the following Cup Series races. He's going to be the guy in the second Cup Series race at Atlanta Motor Speedway when we unveil the new configuration. He had luck there last year, but last year was the old configuration in the old surface.
But this is going to now mimic this is now going to be a virtual de facto super speedway race.
They are running the super speedway package of Daytona and Talladega at Atlanta.
But touching on something on Justin Haley that I thought I saw on social media, he was not granted rookie status for 2022.
Oh, was he not?
He was not, no, because he made 31 of 30. He started 31 of 36 races while vying for the Xfinity title.
Wow.
So they declared him, there was no set criteria. They decided on a case-by-case basis, and they decided that he had been past his rookie status.
Okay. They've been a little lax with that over the course of the past few years.
They really have.
So I kind of, I kind of thought they would be lax again, but they didn't. Noah Gragson, again, we said starts at Atlanta, then he goes to the Bristol Dirt Race. So his 2 are some interesting debuts. Then he does Kansas, Charlotte, Atlanta again, Pocono, Michigan, Richmond, Kansas again, Texas, Vegas, and he'll be in that car at Homestead, Miami, Martinsville, and the season finale in Phoenix. Again, these two cars, both the 31 and the 16, have charters. They're guaranteed to be in every single race this coming year.
As good as he is, let me rephrase that. As good as he has gotten at Homestead, Miami.
Yeah.
I wouldn't look too far past him.
Probably not.
I wouldn't look too far past him.
And knowing what Matt Collig has been able to build over there and the organization that Collig Racing has become, it wouldn't surprise me if Collig Racing in their debut year wins multiple races as an organization. I don't know how the driver breakdown would be, but it wouldn't shock me at all if they won multiple races this coming year.
I would say personally that Allmendinger would get another one before anybody else.
Even before Haley?
Yeah.
Okay, then. We'll find out.
I would say even before Haley.
We mentioned Martinsville. When Allmendinger and all the rest of the Cup Series guys race at Martinsville in the springtime, it's going to be under the lights, which I'm good with that.
Yep.
Here's the controversial part. It's not going to be a 500-lap race. Track officials cleared it with NASCAR, and it is now officially the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 400. This marks only the second time that the Cup Series in NASCAR, or the top level of NASCAR, will run a 400-lap event at Martinsville, and the first time that they ever did it was way back on October 28th of 1956, when a driver by the name of Jack Smith won the race. Every other race that the top level of NASCAR has ever run at Martinsville has been 500 laps.
Mm-hmm.
When this news came out, not everybody was happy. Seems that some people were saying, are we going to get 1/5 off of the tickets that we are going to pay for?
Well,
don't count on it.
No.
Just saying. And I get it. We've gotten used to having 500 laps at a Martinsville. I get it. But you got a 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Is it Eastern time?
7:30 Eastern.
6:30 p.m. Central start time. And these races can run 3, and depending on how things go, sometimes 4 hours.
Yeah.
Especially if it's 500 lapper.
Yeah.
They're trying to be nice neighbors.
Pretty much.
So we'll see. It may be an experiment that lasts all of one race. Then again, it may become something of a regular thing. We'll have to find out. Then I came across this. Stewart-Haas Racing fans, if you're looking for what Stewart-Haas Racing is calling the ultimate fan experience, have we got a deal for you at select Speedway Motorsports Incorporated tracks? We'll detail that. Oh, by the way, Rick Ware Racing is back. Talk about them, too.
Hey.
Xfinity Series and a whole lot more. Hour 1 still rolling on right here on CRN with a lot to go.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Happy
tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. Rick Ware Racing. They've turned to a veteran road racer by the name of Joey Hand to take over the number 15 Ford Mustang for all road course races in the Cup Series this year. Hand might not be very familiar to you. He hails out of Sacramento, California. He's been a Ford factory driver with most of his experience coming in sports car racing. He's got class wins on the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. He's also been a champion in the American Le Mans Series, so he brings quite the resume along with him. But let's face it, Cup Series racing is a different animal, and it's Rick Ware Racing.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. It's the best thing you can do.
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Why are we just going to leave it at that?
Does the letters RWR mean anything?
Has it meant anything in the Cup Series for the past, I don't know, decade?
My point is, why are we just going to leave it at that?
The only relevance Rick Ware Racing has had over the last 3 years is a gentleman by the name of Romain Grosjean.
So you're talking, if I were to think in terms of IndyCar, Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
It's a good equation. For major Stewart-Haas racing fans who want the ultimate Stewart-Haas racing fan experience, go on to this website. Go on to StewartHaasRacing.com. They're the team's official website. But instead of stopping there, do StewartHaasRacing.com/fan-suite, SUITE. Seems that for the starting price of $525, you can get into a climate-controlled suite where you can see the racing at select Speedway Motorsports properties. We're talking Atlanta, Charlotte, Bristol, Las Vegas, Texas. Fans who buy in not only will get a great place to watch the racing, and it is. We've been in suites before.
Mm-hmm.
The race day experience includes track tours, VIP appearances, team gift bags, and more for $525 a ticket. Brett Frood, who's the Stewart-Haas Racing president, said this, quote, "Our fans are so integral to the DNA of NASCAR, it's important that we continue to mine unique world-class experiences for them. We're proud of the continued collaboration and partnership with SMI, and our focus is on elevating the fan experience and holistic access to our sport." Wow, Brett, you went into the thesaurus for that one.
Yes, he did. All right.
I like the idea. Price is a little
steep.
steep.
A little bit steep for that.
Again, I'd like to know all the details because they just said track tours, VIP experiences, team gift bags, the suite, and more.
Yeah.
What's the and more?
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, I know. But wait, there's more
maybe
that we don't know about.
I don't know. Maybe a start in a cup car for crying out loud.
I think it'll be just shy of that.
One thing to tack on that I
might be fun if they got you a ride along.
Oh, that'd be great. But I'm riding in the left-hand seat, not the right.
Yeah, you'll have to talk to Kevin Harvick about that probably.
I think I'd try to talk to Cole Custer instead of Kevin Harvick about that one. But one thing I seen yesterday starting to get pretty hot on social media.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon and late last night, dealing with a Cup Series. Does anybody remember the little team that used to be called Team Extreme? Now they're now called New York Racing, with a gentleman by the name of John Cohen.
Yeah, vaguely.
The 44 car that got stole out of the hotel parking lot in Atlanta a few years ago.
I remember that. Yeah. That team.
Well, they're apparently making a chargeback to start for the Daytona 500.
Oh, really?
Through an alliance with none other than, and I'm sorry, but Richard Childress Racing.
Okay.
Do we want to take a wild guess which driver was spotted at the shop getting fitted for the seat for the car?
It's been so long since we talked about them. I can't remember who they had in the car the first time.
JJ Yaley.
I'm going to say it wasn't Matt Nicholson.
It wasn't Matt Nicholson.
I wish it was.
Yeah. Yaley?
It was JJ
It was.
Yaley.
Okay. It was Yaley? Really? I don't remember that.
Yaley
Okay.
was the primary driver for the car.
Who might they pull for this one? I don't know. Who?
As our boy John Roberts always says, stick with the Biff.
Really? Greg Biffle.
Greg Biffle, per Candace Spencer of whatever that site is, and place she writes for now. Yeah, don't know. But Greg Biffle was spotted at RCR getting fitted in the seat for the 44 car.
Okay.
If that
Richard Childress Racing Equipment with Greg Biffle, they've got a half decent shot of making the 500.
I would say just barely better than 50%.
Well, and again, I'm not basing it on the Team Extreme. They've got very little to almost no track record. I'm basing it on the Richard Childress Racing Equipment.
True.
And the driver.
True.
That's it. We'll see.
Yep.
Got to make it through the duels.
Yep.
You ain't got a charter. We know that. To the Xfinity Series, where the final appeals officer for NASCAR heard and has ruled on the appeal from Mike Harmon and Mike Harmon Racing. If you didn't hear about this or if you've forgotten about it, this regards a penalty that was handed down to him back on November the 22nd. Seems that Harmon ran one of his Xfinity racers during an exhibition run around the track that included new and old race cars at Rockingham Speedway. This is a track that NASCAR has banned drivers from practicing on, number one. But Mike Harmon and Mike Harmon Racing argued that this was, again, an exhibition run where they went about as fast as you might go out on I-20. Maybe not even.
If that.
Because, again, you've got some old race cars out there that, let's just say, probably haven't been running many, many years, and they didn't want to do anything that might actually end up messing up the cars.
True.
So, again, maybe about as fast as the speed limit on I-20. Maybe.
Yeah.
What in the world is Mike Harmon going to get out of running an Xfinity Series car at Rockingham at most 70 miles an hour?
Nothing.
Zero.
Absolutely
You'll learn
nothing.
squat.
And especially when the car that he had out there was a Dodge Challenger bodied car.
Exactly. So a couple of years ago, he's not even running that body anymore.
Yeah.
So it went through the first appeals process. NASCAR denied the appeal. Well, he appealed again. This goes to the appeals officer, the single guy, not the panel. This is Roger Warner. He did claim that there was indeed a rules violation. In other words, he was running a race car on a track that NASCAR had banned practicing, quote unquote, on. But allowed that NASCAR had modified the rules as of January the 22nd, and that ruling actually allows him, Roger Warner, to change the penalty. So he did. He rescinded the monetary fines and the suspensions. We're talking multiple races here for both Harmon and crew chief, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
He did keep in place the docking of 75 owner and 75 driver points. Mike Harmon wasn't thrilled about that, but because Warner's the final appeals officer, this is a binding decision. There are no more appeals. Here's the good thing. The couple of drivers like Bailey Curry and Kyle Weatherman, thank you. I don't know where I came up with Winningham. Kyle Weatherman, they've both moved on. So it looks like Mike Harmon's going to be back racing again this year. This benefits him. It allows him to actually kick off the season in his own cars with his crew chief. But he does start in a hole. 75 owner, 75 driver points.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the easiest thing to climb out of.
Nope.
Over at Alpha Prime Racing this year, we talked in the last couple of weeks about how Andy Lally had asked for and was granted his release from his contract to race some 6 events for Alpha Prime Racing. So who's going to step in? We didn't know at the time, and Alpha Prime Racing didn't know at the time either. Turns out it'll be Josh Bilicki. Bilicki will run the 6 races that Lally would have run. He's all of 26. He does have experience in all 3 of NASCAR's top series. He's slated to drive 4 road course races and 2 oval events in the number 44 Chevrolet Camaro. I don't think that's such a bad move.
For the road courses, it's not.
No, not at all.
Bilicki is a pretty decent little road course racer.
Yep. So hopefully they'll do well. Over at Our Motorsports, they have Jeb Burton signed for this year, and they've announced that longtime Jeb Burton sponsor Alsco Uniforms, sponsor Burton over the past couple of years, has signed on with Our Motorsports in a multi-race sponsorship deal as well. They will debut as the primary sponsor in Las Vegas. The rest of the slate of them being a primary was not announced, but they will probably be with them all year long, if not as primary, certainly as secondary. That's good news for Our Motorsports and for Jeb Burton. And I continue to say Jeb Burton, he's overshadowed by his cousin Harrison,
Yeah.
number one, and I think wrongly, because I think Jeb Burton's probably one of the more underrated drivers out there. And it's just the fact that he doesn't come with an automatic check.
No.
As a reason why he continues to be kind of thrown around all over the place as something of an orphan.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, yes, he's got personal sponsors.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not
Also-
like he's coming to a major team owner and going, hey, here's a check. Give me a car.
Yeah, like some folks don't need to be doing. I didn't say that out loud, but anyways.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah. He's got his sponsors that could get him in a good car. He had a good car last year.
He did.
He had a great car last year.
Yeah.
I mean, but with one sponsor that was already at the team leaving, knocks him out of the seat.
That hurts.
Alsco. State water heaters, as they say it.
Thank you, Wad Button.
LS Tractor. He didn't even win the race in the Nutrient Ag Solutions car. He won it in the LS Tractor car.
I know.
So you tell me.
It's amazing to me that they didn't step up and help him out because they saw what he could do in that car.
I mean, yeah.
It's
crazy.
I hate it. Ronnie Bassett Jr. and his cell phone Bassett Racing team have said that what happened in 2021, delaying their debut in the series until this year, kind of steeled their desire to make it work. Ronnie Bassett Jr. said he's planning to run as many as 18 races this coming year. He will be on hand at Daytona for the season opener. Said he'll skip the West Coast trip. He'll rejoin for the racing in Atlanta. His plans really are to do the majority of the East Coast races. He wants to avoid the long trips to cut down on traveling costs and first-year costs. Said he's going to run Chevy Camaros with the number 77 on the side, and he reports having several sponsors to help him out throughout the course of the year.
Yeah,
You seem unconvinced.
No, that won't happen.
Oh, okay.
He'll struggle like he did last year.
Well, he didn't run last year.
He
ran a few, but
he made some attempts at starts, but he really did the ones that was the qualifying races, and I think he didn't even make 50% of them.
His situation is he needs to do, well, let's go back to what you were talking about when it came to the Greg Biffle situation. Ronnie Bassett needs to find himself a good technical partner to get good equipment from.
Agreed.
Until he does that, backmarker, unfortunately. Fox Sports coverage, we talked about the Cup Series. Fox Sports coverage of the Xfinity Series. Their lineup will run down like this. Adam Alexander returns to the role of primary announcer. Analysis coming from veteran Chad Knaus. Got a rotation of Cup Series drivers throughout the part of the 2022 season as well. There's no sense in trying to run them down because forget it. Regan Smith and Vince Welch going to handle pit road duties for the telecasts as well. And that brings us to the Camping World Truck Series, where GMS Racing has finalized their driver and crew chief lineup for 2022. We already knew what the pairings were for their first season of Cup Series racing as Petty GMS Racing. Now we know what the Camping World Truck Series pairings are. They got Grant Enfinger, Mobile, Alabama's own, coming in to drive the number 23 Champion Power Equipment Chevy Silverado. Charles Deneke is going to be the crew chief there. He has 2 wins to his credit with 2 different drivers in GMS Racing trucks. He's helped Chase Elliott to a win and Sam Mayer to a win. One would think that that's 2 fairly different driving styles, so that shows that he can adapt to his driver and the communication.
Yep.
The other truck is the number 24 Silverado. That'll be driven by a driver by the name of Jack Wood. Jack Wood will have veteran crew chief and GMS employee Tom Ackerman making the calls atop the War Wagon. Ackerman's been a crew chief in the truck and Cup Series over his time in NASCAR, and he steps down or over from his role where he had been the tech director at GMS for 2021. He's back on top of the War Wagon making the calls. This can only help Jack Wood. The veteran presence of the crew chief, settle him down, tell him, hey, here's where we can go.
Right, absolutely.
The head of Ford Motorsports, Mark Rushbrook, came out this week, and he placed, about a ton of pressure squarely on the shoulders of one Haley Deegan. Rushbrook told media they are, quote, expecting a lot, unquote, out of her, and that if she performs well, quote, we could expect that she would go into the Xfinity Series for 2023. Deegan is only going into her second year in the Camping World Truck Series. both last year and this year with David Gilliland Racing. She would need to improve upon those starts from 2021. In 22 starts last year, 1 top 10 finish.
I think she's going to be pretty decent this year, honestly.
More comfortable in the truck?
Comfortable.
More at ease with the communications between her and her crew chief?
That's 2 right there.
And the one thing, quite frankly, that we could probably say was her biggest weakness when we were watching her a couple of years ago in Brett Holmes' year where he was the champion, Haley Deegan was fast in the ARCA Menard Series that year.
For sure.
She showed a lot of speed. She showed a lot of the ability to get up to and stay at the front. But you and I both noted this. At that time, again, this is 2 years ago, and we saw it a little bit last year. It's a little bit of a bull in a china shop. She needs to learn how to finesse.
She was a dart without feathers.
Yeah. She needs to learn how to finesse. And hopefully year number 2, with everything still going on at DGR, hopefully they've been working on that. Because that, I think, was her biggest weakness.
I think they have. And with her being in the flagship truck for DGR, all but in the flagship truck,
sure,
I think she's going to be okay.
All right. 2 more notes here, and then we'll wrap it up, and we'll come back and ready to go in hour number 2. Over at Young's Motorsports, they've got a 16-year-old kid coming in. His name is Leland Honeyman. He will drive for them in 2022. Now, he can't, because he's 16, drive full-time in the truck series. His primary drive will be in the team's 02 Chevy in the ARCA Menards East Division. But the Phoenix, Arizona native will get a taste of the truck series later this fall. At which race, we don't know yet. I'm going to guess Martinsville, but that's a guess.
Probably so.
16 years old. Good grief. And has been the case for many years now, Fox Sports' coverage, they will have the entirety, the full Camping World Truck Series season for their 20th year with exclusive coverage. Vince Welsh has the primary call.
Good.
Michael Waltrip is back with Phil Parsons alongside, and they expect numerous appearances from Cup Series driver Kurt Busch as well. Preparing for something, are we, Kurt?
I would prefer Kurt over Waltrip, but I didn't say
most
that.
people probably would, but that's the way that they're going to go. Josh Sims, Jamie Hoyer will be handling from pit road. Hey, hour 1 is in the books. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame. The induction ceremonies were held. We didn't really talk about it last week. We'll talk about it when we come back, and we'll get into some NHRA and Formula One and Indycar and all that kind of stuff. That's hour 2. And it's on deck right after this on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. Fuel only, fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
We didn't really talk about it much last week here on the show because, well, it had happened the night before and the ceremonies went well into the night and you didn't get to watch it unless you streamed it on Peacock. And, well, I haven't bought that subscription.
I did. I had it streaming.
Okay. Well, that's one of us. NASCAR Hall of Fame class officially inducted last Friday night, a week ago, last night. Dale Earnhardt Jr. obviously joining his father in the hall, alongside the late Mike Stefanik and NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour fame. And, of course, there's Red Farmer, the Alabama gang driver who continues to race well into his 80s. The dude's got so many wins over his career at whatever level that he's driven, but even he has lost count. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s wife, Amy, officially inducted Jr. He won 2 titles in what's now the Xfinity Series before he went up to the Cup Series, claimed 26 wins, among them 2 Daytona 500s before concussions caused his career to end early. Since then, he's joined NBC and has become a very respected NASCAR broadcaster. As for Mike Stefanik, renowned NASCAR crew chief Ray Evernham was on hand to officially induct Stefanik. We say the late Mike Stefanik. He passed away in a plane crash back in 2019. His widow, Julie, was on hand, represented Stefanik, who made his mark in the Whelen Modified Tour. He actually holds NASCAR's Whelen Modified Tour all-time wins record and poles record with 74 and 48 specifically. And as far as all of the NASCAR sanctioned series, sorry, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Jimmy Johnson, it's Mike Stefanik who's got the most all-time titles. He's got 9 titles to his name on the Modified Tour. More than deserving, and quite frankly, I think a couple of years too late.
Absolutely.
When it comes to him being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then there's a guy who, well, probably should have been in pretty early too. How about Red Farmer?
Yep.
Yeah, we know Red Farmer, obviously, from Talladega Short Track. He chose a good friend of his by the name of Tony Stewart to officially induct him. Leave it to Smoke to go a bit off script when he goes in and starts to talk about inducting Red Farmer. He actually had to go and mention his manager in his own speech because Smoke said he had mistakenly left him out when he himself was inducted into the Hall just last year. Then he got back to business. As for Farmer, he is known to have anywhere from 700 to 900 career wins over his long racing career. He's obviously co-founder of the famed Alabama gang. He's had his chances at the top level of NASCAR, but I got to respect this. Over 13 seasons of running some 36 races in the Cup Series, he said that he actually had, oh, by the way, a couple of races in the early years of what we now call the Xfinity Series. Despite racing for some 75 of his 89 years and claiming a number of wins that he has, he never won the top levels of NASCAR. But he said he did get multiple offers to race full-time in either of the top 2 series of NASCAR. He said he wasn't shy about why he turned down those full-time opportunities. He claimed he was never offered a full-time car in what he felt was up to his very own high standards and routinely turned those full-time offers down. I got to respect that.
I respect it too, and then I'll let you finish this up, and I'll tell you my thoughts on it.
Get this. This is the 10th time that Red Farmer has been inducted into a Hall of Fame. NASCAR Hall of Fame, and also the National Dirt Late Model Hall, the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. He was also listed among NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers and NASCAR's 50th anniversary. I mean, how he did not get inducted into this Hall of Fame earlier, I don't know.
It was crazy, but hands down, and this is not speaking out of any bias level, Red has had the best overall acceptance speech in the last 5 years.
Okay.
I mean, from the sense of being...
I could easily see this.
From the sense of having his humor, because I've been around him several times, had lunch with him, dinner with him quite a few times. From a sense of humor level, you got to know how Red is.
Sure.
You know, talking about in the ARCA races he would run late 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. His analogy was, he said, the way these ARCA races went and the way as crazy as they used to be in the late 80s, early 90s, he said it'd be like sitting in an electric chair with a drunk playing with a switch. You knew it was going to happen, but you didn't know when it was going to happen. That was his analogy.
I believe it.
And that line went crazy all over social media. But probably the best story is he held up and he had it on, and I've seen it before.
Yeah.
He had on the 1992 Daytona 500 championship ring.
Nice.
He told the story of how he got it because I can't remember. Davey wasn't able to do it. I don't know if he was sick or something. But the 2 cars that Robert Yates had prepared for the 500, he said Larry McReynolds called him and asked him to test those 2 cars and say which car was the best one.
Well, all right then.
He tested both cars. And I think he said he went in that week for speed weeks and he looked at Davey and he said, you got 2 good horses here. Well, there was the qualifying, I think it was the Thursday qualifying race. Davey got in a wreck and wrecked the primary car, and he said Davey was in tears. He said, I looked at Davey and told him, he said, you're going to be all right. He said, your backup car is just as good, if not better than.
There you go.
And then Robert Yates gave him a Daytona 500 championship ring for Davey winning the 92 500.
That's cool. I mean, he was part of that team in a way.
Absolutely he was.
So that's very cool. And Red Farmer, he's been around long enough, he recognizes talent.
Yeah, he does.
Red Farmer was around at a time when A.J. Foyt started to come up, and Red Farmer, I read this story just within the past day or two. Red Farmer said to several people, watch out for this A.J. Foyt kid. He's going to be good. I think he got it right.
Mm-hmm.
Another driver that he said something very, very similar like that about, Tony Stewart. Again, he's got a pretty good eye on talent. So who is it?
He does.
Who is it that Red Farmer's looking at right now and going, watch out for this kid? Oh, how about the defending Cup Series champion, Kyle Larson?
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
One more note here when it comes to this, and this is kind of an interesting situation. There's an athlete-led media platform out there called I Am Athlete, IamAthlete.com. And they explore some of the big names in select sports, and they've actually teamed up with NASCAR, and they're going to highlight some 16 people across the top levels of NASCAR, and they're going to do a little featurette, a little web video or webisode, if you want to call it that. And 15 of the 16, I think, are up, again, on IamAthleteTV.com. They're focusing on the likes of Bubba Wallace, NASCAR President Steve Phelps, Truck Series driver Haley Deegan, a couple of Richard Childress pit crew members, the family of the late NASCAR Hall of Famer Wendell Scott, all of them talking about their lives that are in and around racing and away from it as well. Pretty cool thing if you get the opportunity to check it out.
Yep.
Then to the NHRA. Now, Powerbuilt Tools may or may not be a brand of tool maker that you know of, but they are attempting to make a splash. They are sponsoring 2 Pro Stock drivers in the very first race of the 2022 season, the NHRA Winter Nationals in Pomona, California, which is fitting because Powerbuilt Tools is a California-based tool maker. For how much longer, considering their taxes, we don't know, but that's another story. They're going to join in with Alex Laughlin. Laughlin made his Top Fuel debut in 2021, but he returns to Pro Stock Car for the first 2 events of 2022. And Camry Caruso, she's a rookie this year. They're going to join up with her for this event only as well. Camry is going to be an interesting driver to watch. She comes in with a lot of publicity surrounding her. She's got a pretty good slate of races under her belt in the lower levels of the NHRA. This is going to be her first full-time year in the Pro Stock Car division. We'll see whether she does well or not.
Right.
Over at John Force Racing, they're going to roll into 2022, announcing a multi-year contract extensions for 2 of their sponsors. One is Monster Energy. The other is a company called Flavor Pack. They're continuing on Brittany Force's Top Fuel ride, where she posted 12 top qualifying slots in 2021. Not bad out of 24 races. Half of them, she was the number 1 qualifier. She got 5 finals. She claimed to win 2 and a runner-up in the final points. All of those between those 2 sponsors. She's had Monster on her car since 2015, Flavor Pack since 2020. Also, over on Austin Proc's Top Fueler, the Force team has unveiled 2022 sponsors Montana Brand and Rocky Mountain Twist. They continue a partnership that actually began back in 2019. Montana Brands is actually a sub-brand of Rocky Mountain Twist, which is a brand that is owned by Flavor Pack. We're starting to see all of this coming together, right?
Mm-hmm.
The deal has the brands as associate sponsors on Brittany Force's Top Fuel ride as well, and both of the John Force Racing funny cars. We mentioned Austin Proc. The other one, driven by John Force himself, who's got 152 career wins in funny car and counting at 72, 3?
Something like that, I think.
Not bad. And then here's an interesting note. Drivers that are running Toyotas in the NHRA.
72.
72, thank you. The drivers running Toyotas in the NHRA, specifically, most notably, I should say, the funny car division, are now officially members of Toyota Gazoo's racing family. Yeah, that is a family. They run most of the time in sports cars, Formula Drift, and GT4. GT4 being the sports cars. Toyota Gazoo Racing, in case you didn't know, is the motorsports arm of the Toyota Motor Company, not TRD anymore, strangely enough. We mentioned this on our previous home. Our new listeners here on our flagship station might want to know that Toyota has changed the body style for the funny car division from the Camry, going with the Supra name for 2022 as well. Expect a lot of white on those Toyotas with hints of red and black. Those are the Toyota Gazoo Racing official colors.
Mm-hmm.
Work it in with your own sponsors, won't you? Let's talk a little IndyCar here, and we unfortunately have to start off with some sad news. Really, this involves racing in general, but it does hit IndyCar pretty hard. The passing of former team owner and mechanic Vince Granatelli. He's the son of the likely better-known Andy Granatelli. Andy Granatelli owned the car that Mario Andretti won his one and only Indy 500 with. Vince actually began by being a mechanic at Indianapolis Motor Speedway before working with his father on that famed Whooshmobile. You might not have heard of it if you're not a big IndyCar fan. This was an entry in 1967 for driver Parnelli Jones. It was a car that used a Pratt & Whitney turbine or jet engine for all intents and purposes for their power. Jones qualified sixth, led 171 of the first 196 laps, but the transmission failed on lap 197 of 200, cost Jones and Granatelli the race. They tried another turbine-powered entry in 1968. That one suffered from a failed fuel pump while leading with 9 laps to go, and that allowed Andretti to get the win. Shortly after that, they banned turbine engines. It's kind of a shame.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the fun parts about the Indy 500 history. At one point in time, as long as the officials approved the car being safe enough to run on the track,
yeah,
you could bring almost anything to the Indy 500 and try it.
Yeah.
6-wheeled cars. Go back into the history and look it up. The Granatellis tried another... Tried many times. Let's face it, he would continue wrenching for various drivers into the early 70s in both IndyCar and some select, that were sponsored by STP, Formula One events. But he and the entire Granatelli family basically up and quit racing in 1974. Well, Vince kept tuning cars. He owned a shop in Southern California where he built and he tuned on high-performance road cars. He actually built a stock-body Chevrolet Camaro in the mid-1970s that Andy then took to Bonneville. Remember, stock-bodied Chevrolet Camaro from the mid-1970s that Andy ran up to 242 miles per hour. Gutsy. Vince didn't return to racing specifically until 1987 when he started up his own kart series operation. This was back when the kart and the IRL were split. He went with that team for 4 seasons through the 1991 campaign. Had a couple of pretty good drivers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Roberto Guerrero was his first driver. He claimed 2 wins in that first season with him at Phoenix and Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. He also led the Indy 500 that year for 19 laps before finishing ultimately second. The team, though, wouldn't win again until they changed drivers from Guerrero to, another guy who you might have heard of if you know open-wheel racing, Arie Luyendyk. Their final year of existence, 1991, Luyendyk won at Phoenix and at Nazareth Speedway. But despite running the entire 1991 season and having those 2 wins that we just talked about, they had 0 sponsorship. Vince Granatelli paid for the entire year out of his own pocket, but that became a little bit too much for him. It caused him to shut down the team at the season end. He was diagnosed with COVID-19 late last week. It was that and other complications that caused his passing. Vince Granatelli leaving us all too soon at the age of 78 years old. Rest in peace, and our prayers, thoughts go out to his friends and family. The National Motorsports Press Association, or NMPA, of which, in full disclosure, both Matt and I are members, and we're trying to get John in there, have honored the IMS Radio Network with their first place award in the live event radio broadcast category for their race day broadcast, I should say, of the Indy 500 in 2021. They also claimed a 5th place honor for their tribute to the late Bob Jenkins, Indianapolis Motor Speedway PA announcer. He passed away last August due to cancer. Cancer does suck.
Yes,
You're right about
does.
that, John.
Yep.
And maybe next year we join in the live event broadcast category just to see what happens. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
As for on the track, IndyCar teams prepping for 2022, and as it turns out, 2023. Huh? Haven't even started the 22 season, have we? Well, yes. Both Chevrolet and Honda, who are the two engine providers for the IndyCar Series, are prepping to test the new spec engines, which will debut next year. In case you didn't know, the current setup for IndyCar is running 2.2-liter V6 engines with twin turbos. Next year, the twin turbos remain, but the V6s go from 2.2 to 2.4 liters, so a bit more powerful. The two companies have been working on these new configurations for a year. With bench and dyno testing, they state they want to bring 800 horsepower to the racetrack in 2023. This new configuration will also feature an energy recovery system through a kind of a form of hybrid battery power that Chevrolet, Honda, and IndyCar hopes will give the drivers an extra 100 horsepower in that push-to-pass mode. So 900 horsepower on tap. Expect several on-track tests to happen throughout the course of the season. Several teams on tap to perform those tests. Just about all the teams are going to get a chance at it. Andretti Autosport, Aero, McLaren, SP, Chip Ganassi, and Team Penske all on deck for that. 900 horsepower with push-to-pass, 800 horsepower on a regular basis. You're not that far away from where Formula One is. Formula One, at specific races, has been known to top out at somewhere around 1,000 horsepower.
Specifically Renault. They haven't made it any secret. They're pushing 1,000.
So there you go. IndyCar trying to get up to that level. All right, then. When we come back, we just mentioned Formula One. How about we get into details on Formula One? That's when we come back, right here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Four tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you checking us out. Don't forget to check us out on all the different places that you can. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/Championship Racing Network. Twitter, Instagram.
Yep. That's all we got social media-wise.
I was about to say, thank God we're not on TikTok.
CRNradio.us.
That's our website.
That's the big one.
Yep. Don't forget YouTube. Look up Championship Racing Network. Subscribe to it. It's free. Doesn't hurt you at all. And check out all of our postings up there, which we are going to have an after the show, which means that for those of you that are on YouTube, we're going to be talking about some stuff that we're not talking about during this particular broadcast.
Bonus.
That's right. Bonus stuff. That's why you want to subscribe. Last week, we talked about 4 teams that would be showing off their 2022 racers before preseason testing gets underway in late February. A 6th team. That's right. Now we're up to 6 of the 10, choosing to show their cars off before then. First up is AlphaTauri. They decided to show their cars off on Valentine's Day. Nothing says I love you, honey, like, hey, let's go check out this car unveiling. Anyway, drivers Pierre Gasly and 2021 rookie Yuki Tsunoda are said to be on hand for the unveiling of the cars. The team is hoping will improve upon their 4th place finish in the standings of the 2021 Constructors' Cup.
Yeah, that would fly over real well with my wife if I lived in Europe. Hey, honey, let's go to dinner. Where do you want to go? Oh, let's go to this really nice steakhouse in London. Oh, wait, we have to stop by AlphaTauri to go check the car out.
Yeah, we're going to do that first.
Yeah, we got to do that first.
Here's the thing, and don't get me wrong, AlphaTauri, I love the fact that you want to improve upon your 4th place standing in the Constructors' Cup, but I think of the 3 teams that are ahead of you, Mercedes, your sister company, and really the primary under Red Bull Racing's banner, Red Bull, and Ferrari. You want to talk about an uphill climb?
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Yeah.
With their announcement, though, they joined Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and Aston Martin in taking the wraps off in a showcase before putting them out on the track. And then Alpine said, you know what? Me too. The French team chose February the 21st, which is only 2 days before they get that first workout on the track in 2022. Driver Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon are back with Alpine this year. They're hoping to climb up from 5th place into the 2021 Constructors' Cup standings. Again, I'm looking at the teams that are ahead of you. It's an uphill climb.
Yeah, just a little.
But that being said, I wouldn't be terribly shocked, no disrespect to AlphaTauri, if Alpine did take over 4th. That's a good pairing of drivers that they got there.
Yes, yeah. But again, it's an uphill climb.
Yep, I agree. We talked in the first hour about how NASCAR and Martinsville Speedway decided to drop from 500 to 400 laps the spring race at Martinsville because it's going to race on Saturday night under the lights in Martinsville. They're kind of trying to be nice to their neighbors, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there's preseason testing in Barcelona, Spain. Now, remember, Europe, I'm going to try to be kind on this, but I'm going to come right out and say this. Europe has been, let's just say,
ridiculous,
over the top, ridiculous. There you go, in their COVID procedures. And that means that fans that have traditionally been allowed to get in with tickets priced lesser than the regular season races are not going to get the chance to do that this year. Officials in Barcelona have decided, they say, to err on the side of caution, choosing to keep the fans out of it this year. But on top of that, in another really bad move by some official in Formula One's front office, you won't even get television coverage of it. They consider this less an all-out test, but more of a shakedown. There you go.
There we are.
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Your Liberty Media, U.S.-based company, owns the commercial rights to Formula One.
Yep.
They have been doing so much right, truth be told, over the past 3-4 years in trying to get Formula One to become much more fan-friendly. They've seen what NASCAR's done. They've seen what the NHRA. You want to talk about the ultimate when it comes to fan accessibility. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the NHRA. But NASCAR does a good job of getting the fans involved and keeping them involved and allowing them a lot of almost unprecedented access to the participants. Just go to Big Bill's Garage at Talladega Superspeedway. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
IndyCar's done a better job of it. You get paddock passes to go to Barber Motorsports Park. You can literally walk right up to the ropes. You can't go in, obviously, because they're working on the cars, but you can walk right up to the ropes and you can watch them as they're preparing the cars to get on the track, and you never know. You might come across a driver or two.
Mm-hmm.
Formula One, on the other hand, has acted like their drivers are made out of gold and crystal. My gosh, we can't let you get that close. You might break them.
Yeah.
Liberty Media recognized that, and for the most part, they have done, again, for the most part, a very nice job of starting to allow more fan accessibility when it comes to Formula One. Some people have done some stupid stuff. Megan Thee Stallion, some rapper, last year at Formula One.
Yeah, that was wearing basically fishnets over her undergarments on pit road.
And decided to have her bodyguards out there on pit road where nobody's going to mess with you.
Yeah.
And when, who was it? I can't remember who it was that was going to try and do an interview.
Martin Brundle,
thank you very much. When Martin attempted to approach her for a quick word, she's a celebrity on pit road at a Formula One race, her bodyguards shoved him away. Idiotic on her part, number one. But nice try by Martin Brundle, and I loved what he posted on social media afterward. It was great. Roasted her and her bodyguards. But again, this is the attempt to make them a little bit more fan-friendly. Bringing some celebrities in and talking to them and saying, hey, listen, they're coming here to check out these races. Maybe you ought to look at it too. This is a horrible move. You're starting off a year with brand new cars, some new rules, not all of them, but some new rules, including they're moving up from 13-inch to 18-inch. That's a huge jump. We thought it was big from NASCAR, 15 to 18 inches. Formula One's doing 13 to 18 inches in their Pirelli tires this year. We want to see this stuff. We want to know what's going to happen. For them, number one, not to let the fans in, and for number two, not to even show it on television in any way, shape, or form, you have just basically thumbed your nose at the Formula One fans. Congratulations.
Pretty much.
Congratulations. We'll see.
Yeah.
We should get
crazy.
A whole lot, widespread television coverage when they actually do get to their preseason testing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
this is a bad step. This is a bad look. Liberty Media, you need to change this. Fans were willing to spend good money to go and watch what you're calling a shakedown. They wanted to spend their money to go see it. And then you denied that, and then you said, oh, by the way, you're not even going to get to watch it on television. You're ticking off your fans. You know, these are the guys that pay you the money.
They're hiding.
Ultimately.
They're hiding something.
Something's up.
They're wanting to test something and not show something.
Might be right.
It's got to be.
Might be right. Got a couple of notes when it comes to some of the tracks that Formula One runs on. Last year, they ran at Saudi Arabia for the very first time. They're ready to host the series for a second straight year. But they're going to have a slightly different look to the layout when they come back. Several drivers expressed some concern after the race about the track after the first run, specifically concerns over things like barriers on the street course that limited visibility through some of the fastest sections. So the race's CEO, Martin Whitaker, said that those concerns, he says they'll be remedied before the series does return to the track in Saudi Arabia. I guess we'll find out. For a street course, modified street course, obviously, they admitted they wanted one of, if not the fastest street courses Formula One's ever run on.
Oh, and they got it.
They got it, too. And the drivers said, here's what's wrong.
Yeah.
It looks like they listened. We'll find out if they truly did.
Yeah.
Then there's Singapore. Singapore has signed an extension to their deal with Formula One, means they get to continue to keep their spot on the F1 schedule through at least 2028. That's how long this extension covers. Singapore, due to COVID, actually hasn't hosted the series the past couple of years, but they say they are ready to race this year. And if and when they do, they'll be the meet in the middle of a Russia, Singapore, Japan sandwich. 3 races in 3 weekends, a stretch that comes up in late September into early October. I'm so ready to be able to stop talking about, oh, by the way, this race was canceled due to COVID. I can't wait to not talk about that anymore.
I'm sorry, but I'll say it. If athletes can get on Boeing 787s, Airbus A330s, A350s, and leave their respective countries and travel to Beijing, China for the Olympics to do for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
There is
zero
excuse that any sporting series through the world, from motorsports all the way down to English football, which is known as soccer.
Soccer.
For you kids that don't know that.
Sure.
There's no excuse.
I agree wholeheartedly. We have seen over the last couple of years, I'll give kudos to the SEC. How many games has the SEC canceled over the last 2 years? 0. In football and basketball and baseball. 0 canceled.
There's been postponements, but there's not been outright cancellations.
Yeah. And we're talking stadiums that in the cases of, Alabama and Tennessee and a couple of others, host 100,000 people in a sellout, which, by the way, they've done. I'm sorry, you can do this. If you want to, if you really want to be stupidly cautious, sell 50% of your tickets and have social separation, whatever you want to call it.
I was in a stadium last year that was like that. Actually, twice. It wasn't fun. The lore of the day was taken totally out of the atmosphere.
Yeah. It does take away something when you realize exactly how many empty seats there are because, oh my gosh, we're freaking out about a germ.
Yeah.
And again, if you're one of those people who doesn't want to get sick and you're freaking out about it, well, stay home. Nobody's forcing you to go. But I want to have the opportunity to be able to go if I choose to.
Considering, and I'll leave my final saying, considering I just got over it by the technical diagnosis, I can't speak for the man across the table from me.
Sure.
I can't do that.
No, and I wouldn't presume to either. He's there. He's got a microphone. He can speak for himself.
But it felt like just a bad case of the flu.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was.
That's what I've heard.
That's what it felt like.
Mine wasn't even that. I was just lethargic and just totally non-energetic.
I forget which one of you told me that you had a headache.
I did.
Okay, both of you had a headache.
Yeah. It was a killer headache.
Okay.
Like someone with a jackhammer and a drill right behind your eyeballs.
When I got up on Thursday morning, I started feeling rough about 11:30, 12 o'clock Wednesday night. I'm going, okay, I feel a cold coming on. But when I got up Thursday morning, I was like, wow, it hurts to walk.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts to walk.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, all right, okay. Got checked out. I'm like, yeah, that's what I figured they probably said it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at the stats again, and this even relates to the comorbidity factors that they all talk about. 90% of the people that pass away due to this are age 60 or above. Okay? That's 90%. If you are of the proper demographic, the proper age range that pretty much every motorsports series is looking for, and that's people between the ages of 25 and 54.
Yeah.
The chances of you actually dying, contracting, it's one thing. The chances of you actually passing away due to it go way down. Way down.
Substantially.
Okay? And again, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't be cautious, that you shouldn't make the preparations that you deem necessary. I'm not telling you to go get a shot. You want to get a shot? Get a shot. You don't want to get a shot? Don't get a shot. I'm telling you, take the precautions that you deem necessary. But I'm not going to go around in whatever's left of my life. I don't know how long it'll be, but however long the rest of my life is, I'm not going to go around like Howard Hughes, afraid of a germ. I'm going to live my life. And that's that. And I hope you do too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this about about Liberty Media. I just threw them kind of under the bus when it came to the whole Barcelona situation, which I think was probably more Barcelona and officials in Spain than it was Liberty Media. But I will add this. In this case, Liberty Media is doing everything that they can to try and keep these tracks here. Singapore's extension came at something of a cost decrease to them because of the last couple of years and Singapore not being there and them wanting to continue the relationship with them, the Grand Prix, and the country as well.
And that's only fair.
Yeah. So I'll give Liberty Media credit during the same 10 minutes that I will tell them that they got one thing wrong. Barcelona, they got Singapore right. So I give them credit for that.
Yep.
When we come back, Daniel Ricciardo, Australian native, got some pretty big honors. We'll talk about that in our final section of the show. Wow. 2 hours goes pretty quick when you're talking about something that you really love.
Yep.
We'll be right back on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
We are back, and we want to thank some of our fine sponsors bringing you portions of the show, including Ox Foundation Solutions and our good friend Michael Hart. This is a phone number you're going to want, or an email that you're going to want if you, at any point in time, have any question whatsoever about the foundation of your home. Think about the investment of your home. If not the most expensive, certainly one of the most expensive purchases you'll ever make in your lifetime. It's your house. You want it to last a while. The foundation is the key to that. If you got any problems out there, things like sticking doors or windows, or I don't know, maybe you got some water or damp floors in your basement or your crawl space, things like that. These are things that you're going to want to check out. And this is where Michael Hart comes in. 205-362-6419. If you're anywhere in the state of Alabama, doesn't matter where, north, south, east, or west, if you're anywhere in the state of Alabama, Michael Hart will come give you a no-cost, no obligation written foundation assessment. If you can't reach him by phone, send him an email, mike@oxfoundations.com. He'll come out, on the date that you guys have set up and at the time that you have set up. He'll go through the house. He'll give you that no cost, no obligation written foundation assessment, and he'll be very honest with you. We vouch for that, all three of us here on the show. If there's nothing wrong with the house, he's not going to make something up just to try and get money from you. He'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with the house. Thank you very much. Have a great day. But if you have something wrong with the house, it'll be in detail, in writing, and in a cost estimate of how much it's going to cost to fix it. We say estimate because you listeners right here on CRN get a little special bonus. You mentioned then the promo code WEST, 15% comes off that bottom line. That's it, just because you heard about it right here on CRN. You got nothing to lose. Call Michael, 205-362-6419, or email him, mike@oxfoundations.com. Get the appointment set up right now. You won't regret it. The fine folks at Ox Foundation Solutions. Tell them you heard about it right here on CRN. Now, Daniel Ricciardo hails from Australia. Australia is part of the British Empire. And we've talked about, for example, now having to call Lewis Hamilton Sir Lewis Hamilton because he was Knighted. I prefer Knigget. I'm a Monty Python fan. What do you want? Well, Australia's got their own kind of version of this. I don't think we have to call him Sir Daniel Ricciardo, but he was just named to the Governors General 2022 Australia Day Honors. All right, then. What does that mean? He means he has been appointed a member of the Order of Australia for his, quote, significant service to motorsport as a competitor and ambassador and to the community, unquote. Ricciardo's a native of Western Australia, and in that he follows, becoming a honoree here, follows former Aussie F1 racers like Mark Webber, Jack Brabham, and Peter Brock. Congratulations. I'm not calling you sir yet.
Yeah, not quite yet.
I'll do it in respect, but I'm not going to go around all day saying Sir Daniel Ricciardo.
Almost, not quite.
Yeah. Honda is losing a gentleman we talked about just last week, Masashi Yamamoto. Yamamoto was, and we can say that now, the managing director of Honda Motorsports' Formula One efforts. Despite saying recently he hopes that Honda returns to Formula One again in the near future, he's left them in order to set up his own consulting firm, with Red Bull and AlphaTauri as his first clients. But wait, there's more. Red Bull bought, of course, all of Honda's equipment. They're going to begin building those engines in-house. Yamamoto will be on hand for them as needed to help in the transition. But like I said, but wait, there's more. In a somewhat surprising turnaround from the previous thoughts, seems Honda will remain branded on the power units for both Red Bull and AlphaTauri, with the main difference being, at least through the 2025 season, that Honda will be paid like consultants for their products and services as opposed to being more of a works team and being heavily involved with the team on a day-to-day and race-to-race basis. Why this change, you might ask? Well, it seems that the old racing adage of you don't read the rule book for what is in there, you read the rule book for what isn't in there, has come to a nice little head because Red Bull's motorsports boss Helmut Marko said this. The change, number one, allows the famed quality control that Honda has been known for the road cars to continue in the upper trend that they've been going on since they joined Red Bull and AlphaTauri. But this also does something else. He tried to bury the lead. We dug it up. It frees up the Red Bull engine program to begin to concentrate on the new for 2026 engine regulations, hoping to have all their ducks in a row when Honda will actually be done. This is how it plays around with the rules. Instead of becoming Red Bull powertrains as a new for 2022 team, they get to continue under the Honda banner while also continuing to talk to the VW group, continuing to discuss them coming into the series as an engine provider under the Audi and Porsche brands. By waiting, and in order to further entice VW to join in, they could introduce a new for 2026 Red Bull powertrain hybrid engine, which would get them a monetary boost to help them further along with their development because they would be new for 2026 and therefore be considered to be, well, needing maybe a little help. That's what I call reading the rule book for what isn't in there, boys and girls.
Playing politics.
Yeah.
I got to give him credit, man. You might look at it and go, well, Red Bull's not hurting for money. You'd be right. But they figured out a loophole, and they're going to take it.
Oh, yeah.
If I had read the rule book that way, I'd have done it too.
Absolutely, and then some.
I mean, this is within the rules, and it benefits you. Knock yourself silly.
Go for it.
What does this do for Masashi Yamamoto? We don't know. We haven't heard. We think that he may still be leaving Honda to set up his own consulting firm, but he may have changed his mind.
Oh, Masashi.
We'll find out.
Yep.
And FIA officials have not made the move official, but they said that they could replace 2021 Formula One race director Michael Massey before the 2022 season kicks off. They haven't decided upon actually making the move yet. See, this move comes out as the FIA continues, which Matt will have a little bit more on in a moment, to do that detailed analysis of the controversial 2021 season-ending race, which, needless to say, caused quite the controversy as to how Max Verstappen actually was able to win the race and hence his first Formula One driver's title. Michael Massey was roundly criticized for, first of all, making one decision and then later on in the very same lap, changing his mind when it came to, 5 cars that were at least one lap down, that were between Lewis Hamilton, who was leading the entire pack,
right,
and second place at that time, Max Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
The difference here being, in case you missed it, Lewis Hamilton was running on medium compound tires that were some 30-odd laps old. Max Verstappen's team had brought him in, and he had brand new, remember, this is 1-2 lap sprint?
I think it was one lap.
I think it was a one-lap sprint.
One-lap shootout, yeah.
And Red Bull had thought, hey, let's go for broke. They brought him in, put him on the softest compound tires, which means what? It means, yes, the tires will wear out faster, but you get the most traction. It's one lap. What do you care? Wear them out, right?
Yep.
Well, again, about 5 cars in between Lewis Hamilton, who was leading the pack, and where Max Verstappen is in second place. It was initially thought, and Michael Massey initially ruled, those cars are going to have to stay right where they are. So Max Verstappen was going to have to restart the race 6th, 7th in line. A couple of turns later, Michael Massey all of a sudden says, yeah, let the lap cars go around. What does that do? It puts Max Verstappen right on the back bumper of Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was a dead duck at that point in time. His tires were worn out. We had brand new soft compound tires on Max Verstappen. It was just a matter of when it was going to. It wasn't if, it was when Verstappen was going to get around Hamilton to claim the win.
Mm-hmm.
Again, roundly criticized. Mercedes actually put in an appeal to the FIA about that, which they then later withdrew.
Right.
But Michael Massey has been under fire. That leads to this particular situation, and it led the FIA to also announce this.
46 minutes ago, the FIA released through their social media channels their statement. At this stage, no decision has been taken on the outcome of the detailed analysis currently underway into the events of the last Formula One Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. As previously announced, the findings of this detailed analysis will be presented at the F1 Commission meeting in London on the 14th of February after an open discussion with all F1 drivers, and then finally to have to be approved at the World Motorsport Council meeting on 18th of March in Bahrain under the authority of FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem.
Well, there you go. For what it's worth. I don't know, is this worth a whole lot? Let's find out what it is that you guys have to say, number one. And number two, let's find out exactly what it is that you got planned for Michael Massey. Charlie Whiting, he was the race director before Massey. He unfortunately passed away just before the 2020 season, I think it was.
Yep, it was.
And that's when Michael Massey took over. You got to make the change.
Because I'm interested to see. I wish they would hurry up because I'm tired of hearing Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton squall and cry still.
Yeah.
And then Lewis Hamilton, and Toto Wolff is on record as saying he's unsure if Lewis Hamilton is even going to come back this season.
Yeah, I know. Lewis, do us all a favor.
Grow up.
Either take your ball and go home or come back. Stop playing Brett Favre.
Stop playing the victim.
Yeah. either do this. Either go cry in the little corner of your apartment or flat, whatever you want to call it, in Monaco, where we're all crying for you, trust me. Or get back out onto the track and go do what it is that you feel was taken from you in 2021 and go out there and try and claim your 8th championship in 2022.
I mean, just grow up and...
This is racing, boys and girls. You're not going to agree with every single decision that the race directors and the officials make. Talk to drivers in NASCAR, talk to drivers in Indycar, talk to drivers in the NHRA, talk to drivers in literally any racing series around the world, be it on a major scale or a minor scale. They all have at some point in time or another disagreed with an official ruling.
I can speak from experience.
Get over it. It's in the past. Use it as fuel to move on for 2022 or go home. That's it. That's the way it goes. Can't put it any plainer, can't put it any simpler.
Hey, Toto, if you're listening, buddy, if you know a way of how to skim the how to get the FIA super license points, let me know. Chalk me up for 40 points, and I'll go drive the car if Crybaby doesn't want to come drive it.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
We got a driver. And an American-based driver for Liberty Media.
Half helmet will travel.
There you go. And then there's the Race of Champions. Don't confuse this with the old IROC or International Race of Champions. We all remember that very, very fondly, but it shut down in 2006, and it ain't going to be revived. The closest you're going to get is going to be what Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham have started in the SRX or Superstar Racing experience. We're talking about Race of Champions. This is where you get numerous drivers from all around the world to compete on a personal level and as a nation's cup, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And the United States has a team and has had for many, many years. The Race of Champions gets underway in Sweden next weekend. I found this out. They're about 60 miles just south of the Arctic Circle.
Oof.
Where they're racing this.
Oof.
We thought we were cold this weekend. The U.S. team was supposed to, and I say this very, very purposely, supposed to consist of 7-time Cup Series champion and current IndyCar driver Jimmie Johnson, along with Travis Pastrana, who is known to NASCAR fans, but is probably more known for his off-road and extreme sports participations. Well, Pastrana, in that particular aspect, has had to withdraw from the Race of Champions because, he told media, he broke his back and hip in a base jumping accident. One would think that if you had known that you were going to be involved in the Race of Champions, you wouldn't have done something like base jumping.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak for Matt or John, but me personally, if I were in Travis Pastrana's position, I wouldn't have gone base jumping until after the Race of Champions.
No. But, I mean, it's Travis Pastrana.
There you go. So the team that actually had been the U.S. representatives from 2013 is no more, but Jimmie Johnson's still going, which means he needs a replacement. They found one in another IndyCar driver. I'd say they kind of landed pretty softly on this when they picked up Colton Herta.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice.
Not at all. This will be Johnson's third time, actually, in the Race of Champions. Herta's first. It prompted Herta to say that this was, quote, not the way I wanted to be drafted into it, and then added this. What an amazing opportunity to join Race of Champions for the first time. It comes with sorrow as I fill in for Travis, and I wish him a speedy and full recovery, unquote. This is a pairing that actually hopes to bring the title back to the United States of America. It seems the United States has won the Nations Cup one time, back in 2002. That's when Johnson was paired with his then Hendrick Motorsports teammate Jimmie Johnson. They pulled off the upset, and they became the very first drivers with NASCAR ties to get that Nations Cup win, or any win, quite frankly, in Race of Champions competition. I'd say it's about overdue. Colton Herta, it's on you.
Yep.
Let's go, man. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
We're going to try and have more information on that, assuming that they're going to get any television coverage in the United States for you next week. Yeah. We'll also look back at the 24 hours of Daytona. We'll look at race number 2 of Formula E. And we got a whole lot more coming up next weekend as we begin February, which means we're just that much closer to the Daytona 500.
That we are.
Can't wait. Y'all have a great week. Stay warm today. We'll get a little bit of an improvement in the temperature throughout the course of the week if you're in Alabama. If you're up getting hammered with the nor'easter, we wish you all the thoughts and prayers out there.
Good luck.
John and I are familiar with the Shenandoah Valley, at least a foot. My home city of Boston, talking about 2 feet within the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten an official number. Dang, I'm glad I don't live there no more. Y'all have a great week. We'll talk to you again next weekend right here, and we appreciate you checking us out. Don't forget, got the After the Show coming up on our YouTube. Subscribe there. You'll see it in just a little bit. Until then, thank you for listening to us this week on the Championship Racing Network.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
WDNG 1450 AM
And W236CQ 95.1 FM Anniston.
the new 95.1 The Mountain.
James Spann's weather